Today I want to talk about Isaiah 28, which is a prophecy about the Holy Quran. For those unfamiliar with the content, chapter 28 is a warning from God to the leaders of Ephraim and Judah about the consequences of their pride, excessive drinking, and moral decay. In verse 1 to 4, Prophet Isaiah delivers a message of woe or judgment, describing the once glorious beauty and pride of Israel as a fading flower and a wreath on the head of a fertile valley, while God is compared to a destructive storm that will bring down the pride of Ephraim. The message indicates that the Lord's power will surpass and humble the children of Israel, and that their pride and excessive indulgence in wine and revelry will lead to their downfall. Verse 5 and 6 shift to a more positive message. The Lord will be a glorious crown, a beautiful wreath for the remnant of his people. Isaiah emphasizes that in that future day, the Lord will be a source of justice for those who sit in judgment and strength, and for those who defend the city, suggesting that under the Lord's rule, justice and strength will prevail. Verse 7 and 8 then describe the conditions of Israel. Priests and prophets, who should be spiritual leaders, are equally affected, and they're unable to see clear visions or make sound decisions. The imagery of tables covered in vomit and filth illustrates the spiritual decay and moral corruption. Then in verse 9 to 10, the Israelites are mocking Prophet Isaiah. They accuse him of addressing them as if they were little children who have just been weaned from their milk, because his teachings are so simple and repetitive. Additionally, they're making fun of the way he conveys his message, using the Hebrew phrase, which is translated as precept upon precept, line upon line. And many scholars agree that this use of language in particular is a parody of a school teacher giving a simple spelling lesson to little children. For example, Kenneth undoubtedly states that Isaiah's opponents thought that he was acting schoolmarmish and compared him to a schoolmaster teaching his children the alphabet. According to Barnes, the religious leaders thought that Isaiah was treating them and talking to them as if they were children or infants, with an endless repetition of the same elementary lessons. Benson states that the Israelites must be taught like little children, slowly and repeatedly, because of their dullness. Likewise, Jameson Fawcett Brown agrees that the drunkards and stammerers needed to be spoken to in the language of children. And lastly, Otto Kaiser writes in his commentary on Isaiah 13 to 39 that this is an imitation of a teacher, a wise man who is teaching his pupils the alphabet. Then in verse 11 to 13, God responds to those who are mocking Isaiah. God is going to reveal a form of divine revelation, and God will speak to the people in foreign lips and strange tongues in a different language. Do this, do that, a rule for this, a rule for that, a little here, a little there, like teaching young children step by step. And the reason why this is talking about the Quran is because the Quran was revealed over a period of 23 years, and the Sahabas had to slowly learn about Islam and gradually get accustomed to certain rules, like for example abstaining from alcohol or fornication, because some of the companions were still engaging in those things before the prohibition came down later. And we see in the Quran in chapter 25 verse 32 that the disbelievers say, why was the Quran not revealed to him all at once? Why step by step? Why not all at once? And as far as the foreign tongue is concerned, in Surah 16 verse 103 it says, so we certainly know that they say it is only a human being who teaches the Prophet. The tongue of the one they refer to is foreign, and this Quran is in a clear Arabic language. Besides, there is even a link between the Quran and the alphabet mentioned in the commentaries, because many chapters, many surahs of the Quran begin with Arabic letters. For example, in chapter 2, Alif Lam Mim, or in Surah 19, Kaf ha ya ain sad. And interestingly, if we deconstruct the Hebrew phrase, we can even find some of the Arabic equivalents in the Quran. For instance, Kaf is the equivalent of Kaf, mentioned at the beginning of Surah 50. Sad is the equivalent of Sad, mentioned at the beginning of Surah 38. And Kaf is the equivalent of Kaf, mentioned at the beginning of Surah 19. And for these reasons, Isaiah 28 is a prophecy about the Quran. Peace.